Hi, Cancer Sun and Rising. Welcome to your March 2023 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So, you've probably heard the buzz about March and how it's a game changer. And basically, what astrologers are pointing out is that there are two outer planets, Saturn and Pluto, which are both changing signs in the same month. But that's not all. Um, Mars is changing signs too. And Mars is a personal planet, so it has a much quicker transit through each sign. And in the case of Mars, as its typical transit, it's about 6 weeks um, between transits. And when it goes into your sign in late March, it's going to be 7 months that it has been in um, Gemini. So suffice it to say, that is, notable as well. And I'm not going to go too much in depth about the Saturn and Pluto uh, changes and how they will affect your chart. I'll touch upon them, but I do have a separate video where I go more in depth into what they are all about. Now, as the month begins, the sun is in Pisces, which is a fellow water sign, and so that trines you, whether your sun is in Cancer or your rising sign. And that means that there's a lot of positive energy flow between the sun and your sun, or your ascendant. And when you have positive energy flow from one planet to another, it makes it easier to accomplish the things that that combination would suggest. So when the suns are trining, anything that you're trying to do where you are exerting ambition, or anything that has to do with your career aspirations, your creative pursuits, these things will, or can, I should always say can, manifest with less effort, more ease, and there's just like a positivity associated with it, harmony. Uh, on the second of the month, Mercury goes into Pisces as well. For you, Pisces is the ninth house, and this is Sagittarius's domain and has to do with expansion. So, expansion of the mind, university level studies, your philosophical framework, God, your concept of God. Um, Also, any kind of geographical expansion, so long distance travel is represented here. This is also a house that's connected to publishing. And so certainly Mercury here could, if you're writing a book, or, and all of that, that could be something that you're dealing with. But if you're studying abroad, or you want to, this is going to be a great time. All the planets are direct. So everything that you put into motion has a greater chance of coming to fruition. I mean, according to this theory, because you don't have that resistance of a retrograding planet, or slowing down, you could say. Also, with Mercury going into that ninth house, there could be some kind of paperwork, uh, contracts, but I'm thinking like of passports if you're getting prepared for travel. You see, you have had Neptune in this area for probably about 10 years. Of course, this is a general reading, so it's going to vary from one Cancer person to the next. But Neptune has been in Pisces for 10 years, and that may mean that you have, maybe you have already been traveling for spiritual reasons. Either you're trying to get some sort of certification, like with yoga training, or you are visiting temples like that. That's the type of education, I mean, not education, travel that you want to do. It has a theme of spiritual thing like visiting temples, ashrams, what have you. This could be also some kind of artistic travel if you are visiting museums so that you can gain inspiration for your your work, your artistic creations. That might be what's going on. On the 7th, we have both a full moon at 16 degrees of Virgo and Saturn going into Pisces. So Saturn entering that 9th house. Let's start with Virgo, though. The full moon in Virgo. This is happening in the 3rd house for you, and this is the area of siblings. This is the area of other family members. So a full moon can mean that you hear some news about them, or that you even have this spiritual download or idea about them that makes you aware of how they, your relationship with them. So sometimes we form these opinions about family members, for instance, and we don't realize what they have been through. Sometimes you may not know what your brother or sister has endured because it happened, when you weren't present. And maybe they did act in a certain way that wasn't correct, but perhaps now you understand why they did so. If they kind of bare their soul to you, or you hear from someone else, this can be an idea that comes to you. The 3rd house is your mind, so anything that, like an aha moment, but I could see just plain old ideas coming to you, but spiritual downloads in general. You might be ending some training that you have participated in to get certification for something, or you are ending a teaching assignment. And on the same day, Saturn goes into that 9th house. Now, this is really interesting because the 3rd house to me is like mundane knowledge, versus the 9th house, which can be more like wisdom, acquisition of wisdom. Now, yeah, I mean, it can be like university level of study, which is not wisdom. This is more knowledge, but it's at a higher level. I feel like there might be you might have some aha moment that leads to you deciding, you know what? I want to actually do something spiritual for a living. Saturn rules the 10th house of careers. So when Saturn is transing the 9th house, it could be that it's influencing the type of career that you want for yourself. So that could be very interesting too. And like I said, I'm not going to go too much into what Saturn represents in this house. I just want to give you a flavor for it. I'm going to try to link that video. I've promised other signs I was going to do it, and I still haven't done it. It is on my channel where you could search for it, but it's easier obviously if you just click. You're able to just click on it. So hopefully I'll remember later on after I post these videos. On the 16th, Venus goes into Taurus, and that's great for all of us because Venus rules Taurus and the 2nd house of earned income. So, it could be good for the economy. It can be good for us individually, money-wise. But in your particular case, Taurus is your 11th house, which is the house of friendships and groups. and also the house of gains. So, with Venus and gains, meaning that it could be with your career aspirations that you get some kind of increase in the money that you earn. So that would be wonderful. You could meet a love interest through your social network or some group that you belong to. That's always a possibility. And on the same day, Gemini comes out of its shadow. So Mars has, or I keep saying, I should write down Mars, not Gemini. Mars comes out of its shadow in the sign of Gemini. And this is your 12th house. So this is very significant when Mars goes into your first house, because you may have been feeling rather run down, um, Cancer, especially when Mars was retrograding, I would say, because when it's direct, it's not going to sap your energy per se, but it is in the 12th house, so it might be this feeling of being kind of a little bit restricted, because the 12th house can be the house of meditation, and Mars is like the ruler of the first house of the self. So when it goes into that first house, it's going to feel at home. In the 12th house, it's like climbing the walls. So on the 19th, Mercury goes into Aries, which is your 10th house of career. And this can mean that you're talking to people in positions of authority. So maybe if you have been looking for work, you're doing it now. Remember, this is when Venus is in the 11th house. So it is possible that you're negotiating some kind of salary increase, and that will be reflected with Venus in the 11th house at some point. But also, you may be speaking in front of others for some reason. The 10th house is at the top of the chart, so it can be like the public that you're dealing with. The very next day, the sun goes into Aries. So you have this energy starting to form. Now, remember that Jupiter is in Aries. So that there's a lot of mojo for career matters at this point. And sure enough, on the 21st, well, I mean, the 20th is the astrological new year when the sun goes into Aries. So that is a power period for everyone. Aries is a fellow cardinal sign. So it squares off to your sun or ascendant. And even though the square is a fiction and a challenging angle, that friction can, kind of get you going and make you more inclined to really kind of try to overcome any obstacles. But yeah, this is one of the times when we would say it's kind of like a New Year sort of a vibe, when the sun goes into Aries, but this makes it even better. The very next day, on the 21st, there's a new moon at 0 degrees of 50 minutes of Aries. And, I actually took down some videos where I was saying that this was a solar eclipse. I said there were 2 solar eclipses in 1 month. I don't even know if that's possible. But I was wrong about that, and it was just easier to take down those videos. It's actually just, and I'm putting that in air quotes, a new moon. The solar eclipse is happening in April, but it still is amazing because it's the day after the astrological new year. And so when you have a new moon at 0 degrees, it's like 0 point, which means that you really have this blank slate. All the personal planets are direct. It really is that that blank slate to put all of your intentions on, and this is going to be for your career sector. So dream big, and also I would say dream small too, meaning that there might be little things that you would like to manifest as well, not just all these grandiose things. So maybe if you love your job, you just want to have a new office or something. You don't like your office. So that might, maybe that's a bigger goal to manifest. I don't know, but it's not, it doesn't have to all be so big. But this is like a very powerful time, and you have it in a very powerful house, one of the angular houses, the 10th house. On the 23rd, Pluto goes into Aquarius, so that's 2 days later only. And that is going to be in your 8th house, which is the house that Pluto rules. And it really is a, a, a planet of transformation. It's only going to get to 0 degrees of Aquarius. It's actually going to go back into Capricorn. And so 2023 is not going to see too much of a gain when it's just basically it entering at 0 degrees that we can talk about. So in the years to come, this is going to be an area where you're going to do a lot of transformation. Again, I have a video with the Pluto and the Saturn influences is much longer than that, and you can refer to. On the 25th, Mars goes into your sign. So expect to feel more energized. Expect to feel like your life is really starting to speed up because, the 12th house is the end of that cycle, and now you're moving into a new cycle. And Mars is such a planet of action. So suffice it to say, you should see everything picking up steam. That's why I used the Ace of Wands as the thumbnail and the picture for this video. I really think that this is connected to Aries. I don't know for sure, but it certainly has that Aries vibe of the newness, the freshness of some endeavor. So this is great, Cancer. It also will make you more ambitious, and that's very helpful with that all that Aries energy in your 10th house. So I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, I'm promoting my double readings called Deep Dive. I also have one with the tarot and a natal chart interpretation called The Whole Enchilada. So I actually have 2 package deals. The other one is called Deep Dive, and it's 1 hour of natal chart analysis and 1 hour of transits for a special price. And then I have single readings as well. You can find out more information about all of that at the link below. Thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.